Hello and welcome. My name is Biagio Mazza, Pastoral Associate of St. Sabina Parish in Belton, Missouri, and I'm here to welcome you to another Do You Know series question. Today's Do You Know question is, do you know the intent of Pope Francis's Apostolic Constitution, Preach the Gospel? On March 19th of 2022, Pope Francis issued the Constitution Predicate Evangelium, Preach the Gospel, with the intent of reforming and reshaping the Vatican departments to be more in line with the Vatican II vision of church. This is considered one of the most important documents in the entire pontificate of Pope Francis, which work on it began all the way when Pope Francis was elected in the year 2013. The Preach the Gospel incorporates Pope's vision of the church. Francis, in this document, Francis builds a bridge between the Vatican II vision of church and how the Vatican is structured and how it operates. For Francis, to preach the gospel is an integral component of the process of synodality, which Francis initiated and insists that the church is and must operate in a synodal way now and in the future. For Francis, synodality is at the heart of what it means to be a Vatican II church. What does synodality mean? Synodality means walking together as the entire people of God, listening to each other to determine how the Spirit is guiding the entire people of God, both ordained and lay, listening to one another to how the Spirit is speaking to us, especially to the marginalized groups that feel silence and feel that they have no voice, that no one listens to them. So for the synodal process to really work well, it has to really depend on how Vatican departments and the institution is structured and governed. So the success will depend on that. And Preach the Gospel is an attempt by Francis to really reform the Vatican departments in a way that's in line with Vatican II vision of church. Among the many reforms that the Pope Francis does in this particular document to Preach the Gospel, one of the most significant ones is the way that who is involved in church governance. For centuries, it was an accepted notion that only the ordained were qualified to lead church departments and to make decisions involving the entire church. Pope Francis, with this document, severs the bond between ordination and governance. Now the Pope, as a result of this, the Pope now is free to choose any qualified person for leadership positions in the institutional church, no matter what their status or their gender. So as a result now, all sorts of people who are qualified, lay and men, women, can be appointed by the Pope as long as they're qualified to lead. This, as a result, allows women's voices to now enter the process of not only governance in the church, but also decision-making. And so as a result, since that time, as a matter of fact, since issuing the document in 2022, Pope Francis has appointed several women to key positions in the Vatican departments and so on. So this document for Francis is very much in line with the Vatican II vision of church, which really severed the bond between ministry and ordination. In other words, ministry is not linked to ordination, but ministry is linked to baptism. The baptismal call of all the people invites us all, and we have a responsibility to minister to God's people. So ministry is associated with baptism, not with ordination. the same thing that Pope Francis is doing here. Pope Francis, in preaching the gospel, wants the church to operate in a more synodal way, very much in line with the Vatican II vision of church, in which decision-making is, leadership and decision-making is not just restricted to the ordained, but to the entire people of God. So the key reforms, among the many other reforms that are in this document, mandates that we work as a synodal church, makes synodality a key reality in the church, and links church governance with the expansive and inclusive vision of church that the Second Vatican Council continues to stress. And that stress is based on all of our baptismal call, in which all people of God, not just the ordained, are active in leading and deciding in the church. So we're going to add a link to the document itself, and one of the more interesting books that has unpacks this document in a historical and practical way is a book called Preach the Gospel by Vatican II theologian Massimo Fagioli. I would highly recommend, if you really want to know more about this, to read the document and then to also maybe look at the explanation and the unpacking of that document historically by Massimo Fagioli. So I hope this has helped to explain just a bit of what the intent of Pope Francis' Apostolic Constitution, Preach the Gospel, is all about. And I hope you'll return again to more Dino Series questions as we continue to explore our tradition and our faith. Thank you very much.